Okay, so hey everybody, Mike Mills, Verity Mortgage here today again. This is going to be a little different. Anybody who has seen me, talk to people before and interview folks, generally speaking, most of the stuff I do revolves around real estate. Roofers, real estate investment, agents, that kind of stuff. So today it's going to be a little bit different, or actually quite a bit different. I'm talking to I'm discussing a topic that's a passion of my own, which is youth sports. Anybody that knows me knows I got a daughter, she's 14, a son is 12. We've been heavily involved in athletics since they were little bitty. I coach them. Soccer, baseball, football. I've personally been involved in organizations in the Mansfield area, helping run youth baseball organizations, helped run a youth football organization in Arlington. So it's something that I'm extremely passionate about. I love it. And anybody that knows me, we talk about this kind of stuff all the time. So this is something that's a little bit more for me. And I wanted to talk to Mike Valdez. Mike he runs the Canes organization in Fort Worth. Is that the correct way to put it? And I met Mike recently, and we've chatted a little bit about, just general philosophies behind youth sports and baseball in particular, and kind of how we look at it. And so I thought it'd be really interesting to sit down with him for a few minutes and just kind of find out a little bit about him, where he came from, and then chat a little bit about, obviously baseball in particular, but just the world of youth sports that we live in today. And, as many of you know, youth sports is very much a business these days, and there's a lot of, whether it be training, whether it be teams, whatever the case may be. If you're a parent, you have kids, odds are you spend a lot of times on your weekends, attending tournaments or going to practices and shelling out a lot of money for that. So I really wanted to chat with somebody who's kind of knee deep in that world and kind of find out a little bit about, where he came from, how he got to where he was, and then, like I said, just get an idea of kind of, how he feels about where we are today in this kind of big business of youth sports. So anyway, Mike, thank you for sitting down with me today, by the way.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about, kind of where you came from, your background, where you're from, how you got to where you're at today, and all that kind of fun stuff.
Cool. So born and raised Fort Worth, went to Alice Carlson, right by TCU. Grew up there, kind of came around there. Played at Westside Little League, right, all the way till I was 12 years old. We were 12. We were fortunate enough to go to Little League World Series, right? So that's a pretty big deal for guys.
So where'd they play the World Series then?
Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Okay. It's always the same.
It's always the same.
Yeah,
okay.
It's
all right.
the big one that's on ESPN.
Right. So you get to be on TV.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got a taste of the limelight super early. Had tremendous success really early. Of that team, not everybody even played high school baseball.
Really?
And then of the guys who played high school baseball, only a couple played college baseball.
Okay.
Right? And in that process, learning is, that's why I coach, to be honest. And we'll kind of go over it later, but a big piece of it, just keep on pushing every time.
Right.
We were at the top of the mountain, we were 12.
Right.
Which really doesn't mean much, right? And that's why I tell people now is that, hey, parents, don't get too caught up in AA, AAA major scene, as you should, and we'll talk about later about youth baseball, but don't get caught up so much in that yet.
Right.
Because you got a long way to go. It's a long ride.
So you had an experience through the Little League World Series as a kid, like growing up and seeing all that and having the experience of going and, like you said, being kind of at the top of the mountain at that age, right? Yeah. And then also having perspective as an adult now, looking back going, wait a minute, that was a great time and it was a great experience, but that didn't mean everything, right?
Exactly. It helped put my name on the map, but it didn't make me instantly a great ball player. That doesn't mean that you're not given anything. And just like in life, right, you're not given anything.
Right.
Baseball, like that happened, okay, good, this is what they expect now.
Right.
You have to live up to that expectation.
Right.
And in order to get there, you got to keep plugging every day.
And you said that only a few of those kids actually played high school baseball?
Yeah, probably I would say, 7 of the 12.
Really?
Yeah.
So you went from a 12-year-old, 12 of you guys, to only 7 actually playing in high school.
Yeah. And of those, starters, 6 probably, I'm guessing, at big schools.
Really?
Maybe. Yeah.
And then only a select few of those went off to college, right?
Yeah, to play ball, yeah.
So where'd you go to college?
I started off at Texas Wesleyan, then I went to Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Okay.
And then I went back to Wesleyan to graduate.
Okay.
Anybody that knows that process of transferring, the credits don't transfer with you all the time.
So if you go play as a baseball player, and you would, I mean, obviously know that the Division I scholarships are few and far between when it comes to baseball, right?
For sure.
So odds are, if you're going the route of playing in college, you're probably playing at JUCOs and you're playing in smaller schools, and then you're maybe even bouncing a little bit between colleges to find a place that fits.
Exactly.
Right.
And the biggest part, right, for me is, you go from high school being the starting guy since you're sophomore, junior, senior year, whatever it may be, then going into college, and it's you're gonna sit guaranteed pretty much at a 4-year school. There's pretty no way you're starting, especially like at a big school, unless you're a superstar. Right. Very rare.
Right.
So for me personally, I made the decision to go to Wesleyan. I had bigger offers, bigger schools, big D1.
But you weren't going to play.
But I'm not. The coach told me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But when he was recruiting me, hey, you're not going to play first year, probably not second year.
Right.
Third year, you're going to have a chance.
Right.
He said, but you're going to get a lot of free stuff, and you're going to get the best training in the world. So that's, for me, going from playing from 5 years old till 18 at that point,
right,
never not being the starter,
right. That was a big adjustment.
Yeah. So my grandpa taught me. We talked about it. And he said, look, you're not gonna. That's not what you want to do.
Right.
You're not. You're kind of in. You need to be playing.
Was there a point in your college career where you realized that this is kind of what the end of the road's going to be?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because you look around, and the thing of the difference in college baseball versus high school baseball is you can be the best guy in your city in high school.
Right.
And you go to college baseball, doesn't matter what level.
Right.
The lowest JUCO in Western Montana State, whatever, smallest JUCO in the world, there's going to be studs everywhere.
Right.
That are better than you are.
Right.
And you think you're the man.
Yeah. There's 300 million people in the United States.
So you show up day one, you're like, there's 50 guys, and you're like, they're all good.
Yeah.
I'm number 45 right here on this depth chart. What do I need to do? What's the differentiator here is the hard work.
Right.
Because everybody can play.
Yeah.
There is the reason you got there is because you
had skill and talent.
Yes.
Right.
And the differentiator there is hard work.
So what was it? Do you remember the moment where you kind of realized that, okay, baseball isn't going to be my career? I mean, you still, anybody that's played sports, we all love it. I mean, you don't play because it's a job or it's a grind. I mean, I guess sometimes it can become that, but ultimately we all do it because we enjoy it. I mean, I still at 45 years old love to play softball, with my sisters and brothers-in-law and whatever. So I can understand that for sure. But when did you realize that this wasn't going to be something you could make a living at?
So in honesty, you got to, look at yourself. If you're not throwing 92, 93, if you're not 6'2", 6'3", I'm 6'3", but I wasn't consistently throwing 92, 93.
Right.
Every, fastball, change.
You're a pitcher?
Curveball. I was catcher.
Okay.
I also pitched too.
Okay.
Right? But you got to throw hard, you got to hit bombs, or you got to be super fast.
Right.
So I was mediocre at the 3, but I wasn't top. You have to be one of those 3 guys.
Right.
I wasn't fast, that's for sure. I could hit, I was a great hitter, but not a power hitter.
Right.
But there's a lot of good hitters.
Sure.
Every single team has 3 or 4.
Right.
You're looking across the country, that's thousands of players, right? Good fielder, they're also looking fielding, but it's just tough, man. I'll tell you what, and throwing, I didn't throw that hard. I threw hard, but not, 92, 93 consistently every time.
Yeah. So then you starting to realize, okay, this isn't going to be my career. And then how did that kind of wrap up for college? Did you just get to your 4-year mark and that was it? And
Yeah. And then I had to graduate. And
yeah.
I was like, 12 hours away, 16 hours away. So I said, I got to get that degree. My grandpa always taught me, he said, you got to have the ticket to get on the bus.
Right.
And that's something that stuck with me forever is, hey, if you try and get on the bus, you don't have the ticket, you're not going to the next place.
Right.
So I got to have that ticket. Once I got that ticket, I was able to move on to my professional career.
Okay. So then what'd you do? So after college, baseball, at least at that point, is in your rearview mirror. Mm-hmm. So what did you do right after college?
So after college, man, like most people, I kind of bounced around just trying to find what fits.
Right.
And I found a spot in finance. Someone told me, get into finance, you always have a job.
Yes.
So I got into finance.
That's true. That's right. Yeah.
I got into finance, and thank you. Do you know who you are, by the way? But, I got into finance, and I had a career, no matter where it was. And then I worked for a few Fortune 500 companies and learned a lot about organization and how that stuff works.
Yeah, you get into large corporations, you kind of learn hierarchies of management and how processes work and how you got to be able to plug people into certain spots regardless of what they can do, because the process makes it work to where you come out the right end of the
You're just
deal.
a cog in the wheel, man, but every little piece counts. That's the thing.
Right. So how many years did you do that?
Oh man, at least 10.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And then
22,
so obviously, just like in college, there was a point where you decided baseball was not going to be in your future, but now you've had a big boy job. I always used to joke as I went to work for Radio Shack, kind of out of college. I was a merchandise buyer, and I thought, corporate America, here I come. Here's what I'm going to do, and then I got there, and I realized really quickly that was not the life that I wanted to live, because you come across these guys that are 50, 60 years old, and they've been with the company for 25 years, and they're miserable. And it was just like, I don't want to be that dude.
Exactly.
So what was your kind of moment where you're like, you know what, this isn't what I do, and I really would like to, head up kind of where you're at right now. So how did that come about? So
to be honest with you, I've always had that entrepreneurial mindset, right? It's like I've always kind of thought outside the box, and like, how does this business, how are they successful? Why did that one not work? Things like that. For some reason, my brain has always been inclined to do that stuff. And I really gravitated to that. But, growing up, you need a steady job.
Right.
That's why I did the
finance. Gotta pay the bills.
That's why I did the finance thing. Because it's steady. You're going to get, your paycheck, your bills will be paid. You don't have to worry too much about that stuff. And then once I got older, I said, look, man, when I became 30 or so, I was like, look, I don't... I come home back hurting because I'm in a chair all day. You're working your 9 to 5 grind. You're sitting in traffic going to work and sitting in traffic coming home from work. Everybody's doing the same thing. You do your lunch, same thing as every day.
Right.
And thinking like, hey,
it's literally like Office Space is your life. That movie, right?
Yes, literally. And it's the older you get, the more it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And I always loved baseball. Yeah. That's one thing that made me who I am. And I tell people that all the time, because baseball can really get you places. It got me where I am now. And it's what you learn in baseball is the hard work, determination. You got to keep working every day. Right. The moment you take a time off, you're going to fall behind.
Right.
So for me, that's kind of lived with me and made me who I am. And I'm very, I've been pretty successful at this because I really, really work hard.
Right.
It's not a coincidence, and I tell people all the time, if you work your butt off, and the results aren't instant, they'll come. Yeah, they will. Just like guys that are hitting the cages. Hey, they're hitting. You don't hit for a week in the cages or do lessons and instantly become better. Right. It may take a month. It may take 2 months. It may take 5 months. Yeah, but it'll come. Mm-hmm. You have to just keep on going. But that kind of that helped me get where I am now. Just really plugging in and pushing as hard as I can every day to get here.
Okay. So what made you decide to get into actually coaching and running an organization and getting with the Canes specifically? Like, how did that kind of play itself out?
So I kind of bounced around different organizations, different teams. So, I coached some little league teams, and I was coaching on.
Do you have any kids, by the way?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
So I've been coaching since I was probably, let's say like 22, right out of high school, and I've always enjoyed it. I did camps, coach camps when I was in high school.
So when you were doing the finance stuff, were you still kind of coaching on the side too? Okay, so you've always kind of been in it.
Yeah, when I get off work, I would go coach.
Gotcha. Because you really had a passion for it.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed it a lot, and trying to help navigate these kids to get to that next level of college baseball. Because there's a spot for everybody. Yeah. Whether it be D1, whether it be JUCO, doesn't matter. If you really want to make it happen, you're willing to put the work in. Right. It can happen.
Right. So when you were kind of looking around, seeing, okay, I'm done with, I really don't want to do this 9 to 5 grind anymore. Yeah. And what made you kind of go all in and say, okay, I'm fully committed to this now. I'm going to make this my career.
So the big thing for me was, so my spouse, so she's my fiance, she's actually a chiropractor. Okay. Right. And she loves her job, helping people, and I wasn't having that in the finance world. Right. I was like, what can I do something that I love that fulfills me and helps other people.
You're excited to get up to go to work every day.
Yeah, right. So, and it was right in front of me the whole time. I just didn't realize it. Yeah. It's baseball. Yeah. I mean, that's what got me here. That's what, people knew me for. Yeah. It's like, why run from that? Why not run towards that? Right. Why not embrace that? And, just give it 100%. So that's where I'm now. Is like I said, bounced around, coaching different places, and kind of saw what worked, what didn't work. End up building an indoor facility here. Not just for one team, but just for multiple teams, for us to get something going.
Right.
A private, really training environment.
Right.
Is what this place is.
Right.
And doing that, it kind of worked out where talking to the Canes at the same time. Came and looked at it, kind of liked what I had to say, and believed in my passion for the game, and was able to get the area here in Fort Worth.
Now, the Canes it's a national organization, right?
Correct.
They got clubs all over the country.
Correct, yeah, all over the United States.
And so, just out of curiosity, why? I know there's a lot of, especially with youth baseball these days, there's a lot of clubs out there that, they start off, they got their one club, they want to call themselves the, ABC, baseball club out of Arlington or whatever. But, there are national organizations like you guys, and I think the Sticks and, a few others that have teams all over the country. What was the motivating factor between going with a name like the Canes versus starting your own and trying to climb up from the top? From the bottom,
That's a great question. To be honest with you, is the success they've had in placing guys into college.
Okay.
That's the big one, right? And I've noticed in order to be seen, you got to be on the good team, right? And a lot of times you can have the same level team, but if you're the ABC whatever, like you said, ABC Mud Dogs or whatever they are, and our team, we're the same talent level.
Sure.
Who are the college coaches going to come watch?
Right.
They know what they're getting with us.
Yeah.
Right. We're a franchise, so it's like, hey, this is what you're going to get.
Right.
And they know it's consistent. They know the coaching's high quality.
Right.
They know all that stuff.
They don't just let anybody
come in. You can't just be anyone off the street and run Canes.
Right.
It doesn't happen. They vet you very, very big time.
Okay. So they make you go through a process in order to know if you're going to represent the brand, then you have to make sure that you bring something to the table.
And not just that, but we also have, we're very strict on rules. Like if we mess up along the way, or you have something to answer to.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not just us out here doing whatever we want.
Right.
We're very consistent.
There's accountability.
Yes, and we try to be consistent across the board, especially in North Texas and Texas.
Right.
We're pretty much all on the same level. So if something comes up, we talk about it.
Right.
If there's an issue, if there's something that's not working right between all of us, we figure it out.
Right.
So it also helps us too, because we have that group.
You have a network of people that you can bounce stuff off of.
Oh yeah. And and these are guys that have been in the industry for a long time.
Right.
That have been successful with and ran their own independent stuff and said, okay, this is why I'm going there. So that's my when I joined too, I talked to multiple people that have done this for years in different places and bounced around, tried the big organization, tried the independent, and this was the right choice for me.
Right. So for me personally, coming from a perspective of having my son's 12, right? And we've been playing baseball since he was 4 years old. And for me, I've always, this is the first year where I'm actually not coaching him myself, because we're starting to get to a level that I'm out of my league, right? I can only do so much as far as talent, because I played in high school and that was about it. And then also too, as a parent, I want to expose him as much as possible to opportunity, right? Whatever opportunity I can give. But for me, I've always kind of tried to keep it in perspective of what sports is. And you and I talked about this a little bit the other day, but the way I've always looked at anything that we do, whether it be baseball, football, or basketball, is it's a conduit for life. Like it is it's something that I can put my kids into. School's great, and my wife would kill me for saying this, but school to me is you complete tasks, right? You show up at 8 o'clock. It's like going to a job. You're there at 8 o'clock. You clock in. You sit down. Your boss checks roll. Make sure you're there. You get a list of tasks you have to complete for the day. You complete those tasks. They make sure you did them. You get your grade. You go to lunch. You blow the whistle. You get out, and you're done. Right? That's school. There's not a lot of critical thinking. There's not a lot of, there's challenges and relationships and all that stuff. But for me, athletics has always been not necessarily about playing in high school or college or, making money at it as a player, but it's always been giving lessons of how life is, right? And sports is great because you get your butt kicked all the time and you fail. And not only do you fail, but you fail in front of people. Yeah. So it's not even a private failure. You're standing in front of your friends and your family and, and the fans and you're losing. And, there's a lot that comes from getting your butt kicked a little bit, right? You get a lot of benefits from that. And then also too, especially when you're competing in baseball, football, basketball, there are people that are involved in that game, referees and other coaches, that sometimes it doesn't always go your way, and it should. In other words, it's not fair, right? Yeah. Sometimes stuff happens that you can't control, and it's not fair. It's and that's just what it is. And there's no, when your kid comes to you, the umpire called this bad pitch or he did that. I'm like, okay, well. So, can you do anything about it? Is there any control? No. So you just have to keep working. And so I've always loved the idea that, athletics and sports, youth sports in general, has gives kids an avenue to understand what you're going to come across in life. And listen, if you play in high school and you play in college and you are one out of a million that actually gets paid professionally to play a game, that's great. But as a parent, I have very little control over that, right? I can give them opportunities to find a passion and maybe find something that they are good at. I'm a big believer in making sure that your kids are exposed to all things, not just sports. Maybe sports isn't the thing. Maybe it's band, maybe it's an instrument, maybe it's singing, maybe it's, math club, engineering, whatever. But you have to expose them to a lot of stuff to find their passion, right? So when you get parents and, if you've been coaching over the years and dealing with parents of this, what's a message that you would tell parents when it comes to their expectations of, I'm starting my kid here, this is where we're trying to go to. It's great to have goals and you don't want to discourage stuff, but at the same time, how would you frame it for a dad that came to you and said, hey, I want my kid to go play in college and, this is what we're working on and we're doing these lessons, we're doing this thing. Like, what would you say to somebody like that?
I would say, like I said, it sounds cliche, and we talked before. It sounds cliche, but trust the process.
Right.
That's why I came Canes baseball. Mm-hmm. If you're looking to play college baseball, there's no better place in the United States to be rather than with us.
Right.
But you don't go from 12 years old to college. Yeah. Knocking on your door and say, hey, we want you.
Right.
Doesn't happen that quick.
Right.
You got to keep doing the lessons, keep working, keep grinding, keep doing this.
Right.
Find a good coach that meshes with you. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest piece. Finding a good coach that drives you and pushes you, doesn't let you, be lax.
Right.
And someone that's always pushing you to get better.
Right.
And it may be hard.
Right.
And if you believe in the process and give your coach at least a full season, because there's that's the problem now is a microwave society we've got. Mm-hmm. Hey, we want it instantly.
Right.
Hey, we want to be put on a team and we want to win now.
Right.
Doesn't happen.
Right.
You can have the best. I put teams together with so much talent. I'm like, oh, this is great. Doesn't work out.
Right.
Too many personalities, too different stuff. But once you find the right fit and the right guys that kind of plug in and understand their roles, mm-hmm. then you can be successful.
Right.
And then it just comes. It just happens.
Right.
Well,
and I think there's a dividing line between, and I've started to experience this myself. When you look at, we did tryouts this year and went to try a couple different spots to see where we were going to land. And what you start to see as a parent is there's a line of demarcation, right? And it's probably about 13. Once 13 because that's when you're talking about junior high through high school. Once you hit that age, then you have a pretty good idea of your kid's ability or possibility, I should say, is probably the better word, what they could do with that particular sport, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, whatever, band, whatever it is. But because there's obviously, the kids go through puberty, the hormones kick in, the body changes, the mind changes, all this stuff happens. And I've always said, that basically once they hit a certain point as a parent, I lose a lot of control over their athletic career, because if your kid doesn't have two things, if they don't have the desire, like they want to do it every single day, they get up and they want to go hit and they want to go throw and they want to get better at whatever this craft is, or they don't have the talent, which quite honestly, it's just like what you said, once you get to a certain level, and this is every level, if you're not this tall, this fast, throw this hard,
it is what it is.
It is going to be what it is. And as a parent, I don't control either one of those, right? Correct. I can't control my kid's desire, and I cannot control his talent level because he either has it or he doesn't. That's a lot of times that's just genetics, right?
Yeah.
So, but at that 12 and under, the younger youth kids, which is really and truly where I think a lot of the bulk of parents come in, they start playing baseball at a young age. I think what you said a minute ago about, putting in the process and going through and really working on the steps, I think that really comes into play in that 13 and up range, right? Yeah. But if we're talking to the 12 and under parents, what are you telling them when they come to you and say, hey, we want to do lessons 5 times a week, and we want to throw, and we want to play 50 or 150 games of baseball a season, all or a year, what would you tell a dad that showed up with a 7-year-old that's really ready to dominate the world?
Yeah. So when I do tryouts, right, I talk to the kids, especially the younger ones, and I say, do you like baseball? They always say yes.
Sure.
I said, do you love baseball? Most of the time they say yes. I say, who's your favorite player?
Yeah.
Like, how much are you studying the game?
Right.
Or are you here because your parents want you to be here?
Right.
That's a big one to me, is like, hey, you can do all this different stuff, but if your kid's not really into it, it's not going to work out.
Right.
Because we've got tons of kids, right, that are, 10, 11, whatever your age is, and there's a big differentiator there. You see that some kids already are getting the hard work in their brains, and they exponentially grow, boom, within 2 months. You're like, whoa, okay. And someone sees him that didn't see him in a month. They're like, man, that kid's a baller now. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
He loves it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not me that made him do it.
Yeah.
He loves the game. And that's the thing about baseball is really, it's awesome, right? It's the best game ever because it's so complicated. Mm-hmm. And once you start really...
There's lots of levels to it.
Yes. And you start, and even me, right? I've been, playing or coaching my whole life. I'm 32, so probably started when I was 4, right? 20 something years.
Yeah.
It's wild, and I still see new stuff every single day.
Right.
Every single day, something I'm like, wow, that's interesting, right? Or I want to learn about that, or I want to check how this guy plays out, or hey, look at this kid. It's just it's so, like you said, deep dive in the sport, and these kids at that age, right? It's like you want them to just love the game.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
At the youth ages, teach them about the game, the fundamentals of the game. Hey, we're going to throw. We're going to field the ground ball. We're going to catch a fly ball. We're going to hit the baseball.
Yep.
That's it. Mm-hmm. If you do those things, you're going to have a good time.
Right.
But if you can't do those and you're not concentrating just on those young be it's going to be a long season.
Right.
I'll tell you that. But if you can develop that love for the game at a young age, at the super youth level, 10 through 12 to 13-ish, that it'll stick with them for a long time.
Yeah.
And the lessons they learn, like you said, the failure they get in front of their parents.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. In front of friends, against the other team, who they may go to the other opposite school or in the same class, or or maybe the sisters of the guys they're playing, if they have a crush on, which happens, right? Yeah. It's out there.
Yeah.
So imagine being super successful in front of them, or having failure. Yeah. And part of this game is failure. So you're gonna fail at least 1 or 2 times if you bat 2 or 3 times, right? 4 times.
Yeah.
So that's
you gotta learn to deal with it.
That's There is you're not going to go 4 for 4 every game.
Well, and baseball is a solo sport, and I've always said obviously you have a team, but when you're at the plate, you're by yourself. Like your team's not up at the plate with you, right? They're not swinging at the bad pitch. They're not watching the third strike go by that you should have taken a cut at. Like you're all on an island. And when you're playing shortstop and that ball hits you on the ground and you're going to field that ball, it's you. Now, granted, your teammate's back there to back you up if you make an error or whatever, but ultimately, if you make a mistake, that you can't look at somebody else and go, "Oh, that was your fault." Yeah. It's 100% on you, and that's why when they talk about baseball being a mental game, I think a lot of people when people hear that cliche, I think a lot of people think, okay, there's just like what you said, there's a lot of levels, there's strategy, there's all this, which is true. It absolutely, there is that. But I think really it's a mental game because it's mentally tough. Like you've got to be a super mental tough person.
Critical thinking, like you said earlier, like very, very critical thinking.
Yeah, you can't just get by and kind of float along. Like you've got to be involved in it. But I think part of where parents lose perspective on, what, like we were talking about earlier with, sports being more of a conduit for life to some extent that can lead to lots of things. But again, desire and talent being the two main ingredients that you need to get to those next levels. But you also see a lot of kids that go through burnout, right? You play 150 games a year, all you play is baseball 24/7. You go to the cages 4 or 5 days a week. And then like you said, you've got a group of 12-year-olds that go to Little League World Series, and by the time high school hits, half of those kids decided they don't want to play baseball anymore. Yeah. And how does that happen? Like, where does that come from?
Yeah, I would say, to be honest, like for me personally, I watch baseball when I get home. Yeah. I'm watching highlights. I'm checking out guys. I'm watching videos of other players. Yeah. So for me, if you really love it, that burnout doesn't happen. Yeah. In my personal opinion. Right. I know some guys it does. Yeah. I've had guys I played with in super high level that don't even watch baseball. Right. They got paid to play baseball. Sure. Which is crazy, right? Yeah. But for me personally, in my point of view, is I love it so much because it gave me so much. I want to do everything I can to give back. Yeah. That's in my opinion. Yeah. But not saying if you love the game, you still can't get burnt out. Right. I think there's just to me, and my grandpa told me something that really resonated with me forever is baseball is life. Mm-hmm. Because there are failures. Yeah. There are successes. There are mediocre days. That you can go 0 for 4 and you're going to come up to bat in the big ninth inning. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. That's life. Yeah. Right. So like that's something that resonated with me, and that's why I just love that game so much. But there are some guys that do burn out. I'm not sure. Well, even at like the younger age, I think, when I've seen it, it's because I think you're right. Once you get to, and that's why I think that age, or, it's not necessarily age, but it's just things that happen. It could be 12, 13, 14, depending on how the kid develops. But there comes a point where the 13, 14-year-old who really makes a conscious decision, like baseball is going to be my life. Yeah. So I love, going to games and I want to go to practice and all that. But I think, the 12 and under, 11 and under kids, they're, don't get me wrong, there are certainly some kids at that age that absolutely know that's what they want to do. And I've come across a few of those kids in my life, but that's the exception. That's not the rule, right? Yes. Most kids at that age just want to be a kid. They just want to hang out with their buddies. They want to play video games. They want to do, like you said, it's got to be fun. Like I want to play, but I wanted to have fun. Yep. And I think sometimes you see a little bit of burnout at the younger age because the driver to being great at the game is not the kid, but it's the dad or the mom or whoever it may be that's pushing that, and then it becomes like a job. Yes. Right? Yes. Going to practice every day, going to, all these games every weekend. They like it, but they don't love it maybe. And then you kill that possible love that could grow in the future, because I don't know how you were when you were a kid, but when I was younger and I played football, baseball, basketball all the way through, growing up since I was little. And I loved playing, and I really, I enjoyed going to practices, but I wasn't really that wrapped up in watching games, like as far as professional games, right? So if I were going to sit down with my dad and watch a baseball game, at 9, like I'd rather go play. Like, I don't want to sit here and watch a bunch of adults play a game. Like, I'd rather go do it myself. Yeah. And, that was my experience, at least. And, I've experienced that some with my kids. And we had a nice, when we were growing up with my family and my son and my daughter, we were fortunate that we were able to get a good community of people that, parents and kids that we all played. Everybody was at different skill levels as we went through. Some years, some kids were better. So there was never a point where, we had anybody that was overly dominant or we had anybody that was terrible. It was just, we were all kind of in the same spot. Yeah. But for us, it was the community. Like, we liked going to dinner afterwards and hanging out with the kids, and they're, we're go to some outdoor place on a tournament so they can all play around outside and have fun with their buddies, and that was the stuff I was always passionate about, because to me, those are the memories that my kids carry on with them, for the rest of their life, on the experiences that they had as, in that situation. And playing sports was just, like I said, just the avenue that got us there. But I would also come across families and kids that, that's all they did. And it was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, again, are there exceptions? And there's some kids that are going to love doing that. And that's what, of course, always. Yeah. There's no absolutes in anything, but
more often than not, you see kids that really, they show up to practice, they show up to a game, and they're just like, I don't want to be here.
Another one, yeah.
So it's just something that, we come across from time to time, and, like I said, being a part of different organizations and leagues and seeing that over the years, we always try to be careful and say, I was this way with my kids. Like, we're going to play all kinds of stuff. Like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to try that. But at any point, they would come to me, and we had kids that played with us over the years that, said, hey, look, I don't want to play football anymore. I just want to play baseball. Or I don't want to play basketball anymore. I just want to play, football or whatever, right? But that's the child making the decision and going to mom and dad and saying, hey, this is what I want to do. Yeah. And then when mom and dad came to me and say, hey, we don't want to play, they're not going to play football this year. I'm like, great. That means that the kids are making their own choices, right? So when you're out there coaching and working with the kids, what's some of the messages that you try to instill in them that, regardless of fielding and hitting and throwing and everything else, like just the mentality of being on the baseball diamond, like what are some of the things that you really kind of try to drive home to them?
So that we there's something we always say at practice, right? We say excuses or results,
right?
One or the other, right? There is no in between. So you don't say, I don't miss a ball and say, oh, well, the sun was in my eyes,
right?
We say, hey, my butt wasn't down. I didn't have my two hands on it.
Right.
What's the result to get you to make the play next time?
Right.
That's a big one we push. Hey, tell me why you did it wrong.
Right.
So when our guys, we do practice, they miss a ball, ground ball, fly ball, they're running. And during that period of when they're by themselves, and they're like, well, we talked about earlier, they're a little bit embarrassed because everybody else is practicing, and there he knows, right? We say, see ya. That's what we say. See ya. Everybody knows what that means.
Right.
So they're reflecting on themselves. Hey, what did I do wrong? And we'll talk to them. Hey, come talk to me. What did you do wrong there? If it's an excuse, they're running again.
Right.
Because the thing in life is we're trying to teach them life lessons.
Right.
You can't go, well, the excuse was, like, you're late to work. Well, the traffic was bad. What's the boss going to say?
Yeah. Still late. Leave earlier.
Exactly. Just leave earlier. Right? Or there's always something, right?
Right.
And we're trying to teach them that now, is really just push that and get them to understand, like, how to get better is hard work.
Yeah.
And we try and instill that early.
Yeah.
We don't care how good a player you are when you get here. We're looking to be better when you leave.
Yeah.
That's the goal. If we can get you 1% better, we've done a great job. That's our goal. And we're not only coaching the guys that are the mediocre guys or bottom guys and trying to get them better. We're trying to get our best guys, those guys that like, hey, they love the game and they're going to probably play college or pro baseball, because you can see it early.
Yeah,
we can see it early.
Yeah.
And we're pushing those guys to get better.
Right.
Because a lot of coaches, they'll say, okay, that guy can play. I'm not going to mess with him.
Yeah.
But you're doing them a disservice where, hey, you need to push those guys.
Right.
Even more, right? Because they're just a little bit higher level. But our goal is to get every guy a little bit better and have them buy in, especially the one, like I said, the biggest one is for us is excuses or results. And they understand it after 1, 2, 3 practices is, hey, what did I do wrong that I can improve on?
Right.
Because that's the biggest part of this game, is failure is a huge part. What can I do to minimize my chances of failure next time?
Right.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts, right? Even if it's 99% chance of you getting it right, 1% you're going to fail.
Right.
Nobody gives 1,000% fielding the baseball.
Right.
And what was the reason why? Did he take a bad angle? Whatever it is. And
you're trying to engage their brain.
We want them to understand, why did I miss that ball?
Right.
What was the reason? Was my glove in the wrong spot? So that way, next time, like I said, they can minimize the chance of that happening.
Do you find that, because coaching kids is one thing, right? And being on the field is that's probably the part that you love the most, right?
Definitely.
But when you're running a organization, there are these people that have to pay for these things, right? Yeah. And those are called parents. And we're always a barrel of fun. So, what is your, like, when you talk to parents that come on new to your organization, what's kind of the initial message that you try to give them as far as their level of involvement with, not necessarily what happens on the field, because obviously you're coaching that, but just the messaging that you're trying to give parents to give kids, so it's all the same? Like, what do you feel like is important to understand as a parent going into these situations that you have to, get your mind around?
I would, I tell her, because I talk to every parent myself. I do all the recruiting for the whole organization. And I tell them up front, I say, hey, look, we're strict. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
This is, we're not typical organization, and we're not meant for everybody.
Yeah.
And we embrace that.
Yeah.
We're not for everybody, and that's okay. And everybody's not for us.
Right.
That's just like life, right? And it's okay. But we let them know we're strict day one, and these are our rules. Parents aren't coaching from the stands. Parents aren't coming to the dugout.
Right.
And the reason why we do this stuff, right, is to instill in the kids at 11, 12, 13. You go to high school baseball,
Mommy and daddy
ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
You go to college baseball, the coach didn't even know your parents.
Right.
Literally, like if your parent calls the coach, you're going home.
Right.
like if they'll just see your name pop up, like, oh, just go home. That.
Well, I've even heard, it's funny you say that. I saw something the other day where somebody was talking about having a conversation with another college coach, and a couple of or even maybe in high school, but a couple of them, like when they were recruiting kids from high school is what it was. And they were calling baseball coaches and saying, hey, we like this kid, tell me about it. And the conversation had very little to do with the actual ability.
Yeah.
It had more to do with, what's the makeup of the kid, what's their attitude, what's their work ethic, and are their parents miserable? Or are they miserable people who have to deal with?
Exactly.
And they'll take talented kids and say, okay, yeah, we're not gonna have them because I heard from the high school coach that their parents are a nightmare.
Oh yeah, because you got to remember the coaches, even us, we got to put our name on a kid.
Yeah.
When we put our name on the kid, we want him. We believe in him.
We want to have success.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we know there are some kids out there that have all the talent in the world that don't work hard.
Right.
And being there and understanding coaches that have been here long enough, they know that kid's not going to make it.
Right.
Because
he didn't have the work ethic.
Because you go, from middle school to high school, huge jump.
Yeah.
High school to college, huge jump.
Right.
College to pro, even bigger.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you have to be ready for that.
Right.
Are you mentally strong to take that next step?
Right.
Or because some kids aren't.
Yeah.
And there's kids, I'm sure all over the place that are amazing high school players, don't make it to college.
Yeah.
Or even, I've seen little league guys, 12, 13, 14, don't even make their high school baseball team.
Right.
Because they're not willing to put that work in every single day.
They lived off their talent for a long time, whatever
or
age
size,
it is.
Or they hit puberty early or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? But another one, going back to the parents, is, we're putting, as coaches, we're putting the best guys we can on the field.
Right.
And there's some potential in some kids that parents don't see yet.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're picking this kid because he's got a tool. Right?
Yeah.
We're going to call him the 5 tools, right?
Right.
Speed, hit for power, hit for average, glove, and arm.
Right.
At the youth levels, we're looking for one tool. Because if you got speed, I can teach you the rest.
Yeah.
If you got a good glove, I can teach you how to throw a little harder.
Right.
If you got a good bat, you're gonna play.
Yeah.
We're gonna find a spot
hit the
for
ball.
it. Yeah. We also no, that's another thing. If you hit, you don't sit.
Yes.
That's a big one too. If you can hit, we will put you somewhere. First base, right field, EH.
Yeah.
Something, right?
Yeah.
But as a coach, we're looking for something not immediate. Of course, we like that. Yeah, we'd love to win every game.
Yeah.
But we got to tell these parents, hey, I'm gonna go back earlier. Is you got to trust the process.
Yeah.
We've coached multiple teams before. This isn't our first rodeo, right? Me and all our coaches.
Yeah.
We're looking for something, and sometimes the kid tries out really well, and he looks like he has some talent, and it comes to the game, and guess what? It's not there.
He shrinks. Yeah.
And that's a big piece of this.
The all-star in practice, and the bottom guy in the game because he just can't handle the pressure of it.
Exactly, right? They call him a 5 o'clock hitter, right? He hits great in batting practice, but game time at 7, he can't hit.
Can't do it.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
And you can't see that at tryouts sometimes.
Right.
You got to
put them in those situations.
Yes, and in order to get them better, you got to push them even harder in practice.
Right.
You got to give them some adversity and see what happens in adversity.
Right.
Adversity, do they get stronger or do they crumble?
Right.
And our goal is to make them all stronger.
Right.
And like I said earlier, we're strict and we're not easy. And it won't be easy for these kids. It won't be easy for the parents to be like, oh, my kid's struggling and they're kind of telling them to do this. But if you believe in what we're doing and believe in the process, they're going to come out stronger mentally, physically, emotionally.
Yeah.
All that.
Well, and I think the message too sometimes for parents is that, and again, I was a coach, but not what you guys do. But one of the things, I always say is like, look, you have to understand that these situations that present themselves during games and whatnot isn't necessarily just about being a better baseball player, a better football player, or better whatever. This is about developing character traits in your kids,
100%.
right?
100%.
Are you willing to fight through adversity? Can you handle? And look, I personally dealt with it with my son for a long time. He was he's a very emotional kid, or was. He's gotten a lot better over the years, but and he would get upset with himself about making mistakes. He was never hard on other teammates. It was just he would do something and he couldn't cry and couldn't handle it and just break down. And I wasn't the best sometimes because I'm like, get your, you see those, it's funny, you see those stuff on Facebook all the time. It resonates in my head where they show the coach and he's hitting the ball to the other kids. Like, good job, Johnny.
Crushes it.
Yeah, and then his kid steps up and he's like, hits it as hard as he can. It's like, what's wrong with you? Like, unfortunately, that was probably me for a little while. But I felt like it was important that he needed to understand that, hey, look, yes, something bad happened and it didn't go the way you wanted it, but if you don't get your head back around right, you're not going to be able to help your team on the field again.
Exactly.
So, I think it's hard for parents when they see their kids, especially mamas, when they see their kids struggling and they see them upset and they see them having a hard time, they want to go and put their arms around them and hug them like, oh, it's going to be okay, and that guy's just mean, and and all this kind of stuff. And unfortunately, if you have that thought all the time, your kids don't know how to fight through adversity and they don't know how to deal with hard things. And even if, there are situations where you may go play for a team and that team, might be terrible and the coach might be terrible and the whole situation may not be what you want it to be for whatever reason. But you can still learn from that and you can still take something away from that experience and teach your kids, hey, look, we signed up for this particular situation and, because of this, and this, it isn't exactly what we thought, but we got to work through it. And, we've either already paid, made a financial commitment or whatever. When we get to the end, we can decide to do something different. But between now and then, we're going to have nothing but a positive attitude and try to get through it the best we can. Because if you don't, then you're, like you said earlier, you're teaching excuses. Everything's an excuse, right?
And especially, that, like you're saying, is that first tournament's not going to be good if it's a new team.
Yeah.
It's just the coach doesn't know the players.
Right.
Like, he knows them in practice.
Yeah.
But you don't know what guy can really show up and which guy doesn't.
Right.
So it may take 2-3 tournaments.
Yeah.
But if I guarantee if you grind that thing out to the last and you commit to that team to the last tournament, at least one full season, you're gonna see did your kid. I think that the barometer to gauge this if it's a good team or not is your kid better day one than last day of the season versus day one.
Right.
I think without a doubt, that's a good barometer to me. And if your child got better and especially mentally stronger, went through some adversity and came out of it,
right,
that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge for life and later on where it's like, hey, I dug myself out of there.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, right, the parents want to put him in the best place, but they can't play for them.
Right.
Who's on the field? The kid. So, because I see it all the time where kids are looking at their parents in the stands. It's like, they can't help you right now, bud.
Yeah.
And I've seen times where kids are pitching. I've had a guy before, I remember last year we were in Houston, pitcher, and he was just getting rocked. And the game was over. And in a tournament setting, you got to just let that happen because you can't burn another pitcher, as you know. Because you got to save him for the next game.
Right.
I saw it happen. He was just getting rocked, and I said, all right. I went and talked to him. Hey, look, this is on you. You got to find a way, dig deep, and
get through this.
Get through it. Boom. Next thing you know, he dealt himself out of there. Awesome. Yeah. And I talked to him. I said, look, you found something in you that's like, hey, if I'm going through adversity, I can dig down and make that happen. Right. He didn't crumble. Yeah. He was close.
Yeah. But you didn't give him an exit ramp,
there
right?
Wasn't. No, I could have said, hey, next guy, come on in.
Yeah. To save him. He's got to save himself.
Yeah. Exactly right. And I told the mom after, I said, hey, he showed me a lot of heart there. Yeah. Because he has to finish this. Yeah. There is no ifs, ands, or buts.
Right. So. Yeah, he's not going to be able to get out and go do something different. Yeah. It's it's hard, and again, from a parent's perspective, you don't want to see your kids struggle, you don't want to see them have a hard time, but it's one of those things where you got to really hold back and let them work through that stuff, because if they never get the experience of working through it, and you're always giving them the off ramp to say, okay, no, this is hard, so we need to get off and go do something else. Look, whether they have success or not, they may, maybe that kid didn't find it, maybe he fell apart, and not obviously he did, but I'm just saying in another situation, maybe you have a kid that doesn't find it and gets stuck out there, and that is hard, right? But then you can also walk away from that and go, well, that's a lesson that they're going to take with them for a long time. I'm never going to get myself in that situation again, whether it means I work harder in the cage, I spend more time on the mound throwing, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to put myself in. And if you have a kid that doesn't see it that way and wants to just quit and walk away, well, maybe that was coming down the road at some point anyway.
It shows it. That's in baseball. It shows you who you are.
Right.
Like, are you tough mentally?
Yeah.
Or not? Because mistake is part of it. It's life.
Yeah.
The biggest times I know me as an adult, probably you, is the biggest lessons you learned are through success?
Yeah. No.
Or
you don't remember
mistakes?
Success.
It's through mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So that's a huge piece of it, is we grow through mistakes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and then one of the last things I wanted to ask you about too is, you were talking about barometers on measuring how your kids are doing and what their performance level is, or I should say whether or not this experience has been good so far. Do you think parents get a little too wrapped up in, especially for baseball specifically, AA, AAA majors, playing shortstop on, hitting third? Like, what do you think about all that?
Big time. You got to remember how, select baseball started. There was no AA, AAA majors.
It was rec league and it was select, and that was it.
There is no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no middle. And I kind of wish that would still happen, right?
Yeah.
Because the guys that are the AA now guys, guess what? They're going to play up.
Yeah.
Right? That's just what happens. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Select baseball it should be that select.
Yeah.
I'm selecting you because I like you to play on our team.
Right. Not just because you can pay.
Yes, to represent us, right? That's why for us, we don't have that many teams. We had tons of kids try out, but we're looking for the certain kid.
Right.
Right. And the other part is the parent. Is the parent willing to make sure they bring them to practice, willing to not interfere with the coaching, right? And support their kid 100%.
Yeah.
No matter whatever happens in the game, tell them you love them.
Yeah.
Hey, tell them good job.
Right.
Win or lose, who cares?
Right.
It doesn't matter.
No. Do you remember your 7-year-old or 8-year-old little league experience?
No clue. No, I mean, I went to League World Series. I don't remember every game at all.
Right. You remember a few parts, but for the most part,
but not really. What I remember is the friendships we had with each other.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. Is that, and I don't want people to get hung up on that AA, AAA stuff. It's the parent thinks their kid's AA, AAA sometimes. Yeah. The coaches know.
Right.
So if I'm coaching a AA team, right, technically, and there's a AAA kid on my team, guess what? I'm gonna push him harder.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, okay, well, you're the dude.
Yeah.
Show us.
Right.
Show us that you're a AAA guy.
Yeah.
And prove it to us. You can make it. It doesn't just come. It doesn't just come.
Right.
Hey, I played AA last year. I played AAA last year. I played majors last year. That's last year. Mm-hmm. Show me what you're gonna do right now.
Right.
That's the goal here to hit 400.
Right.
And youth level, 400 is a good number.
Yeah.
Right? Because once you get older, it's gonna just drop every season. It'll go, because guess what? Pitching gets better.
Right.
Competition gets better.
Right.
I mean, you see 11U baseball. How many teams are out there?
Tons.
Yeah. You look at 18U baseball. How many teams are out there?
Not very many.
Maybe 25, 30 in DFW.
Yeah.
Versus 11 and 12 is
hundreds.
At least 100. Yeah. Minimum. Yeah. Right. So you're talking about a tenth of the scale, right, of what it was.
The funnel starts to whittle down.
Yes. So that's, you have to understand is, like I said, I'll go back to earlier, is trust the process. Like, as long as your kid's playing, it doesn't matter.
Right.
If he loves the game and enjoys it, if you don't tell him that's a majors team and you're a AA team, they won't even know.
Yeah.
Guess who tells them that?
The parents.
The parents think, well, this is a major
right.
team.
They're already psyching them out before they.
Game's over. Game's over. Right. Game's over. Right.
Yeah, we've experienced that a lot. Yeah.
Or if you're the majors team and you're playing the AA, oh, y'all better smash them.
Yeah.
It shouldn't even be close.
Yeah.
Right.
They've already determined what they're doing and what they're not doing, and at that point you lose.
Yeah. So it's more about just playing the game and not getting stuck in the AA, AAA majors, because especially 11, 12, 13, 14 even, because some guys have hit puberty and some guys haven't.
Right.
That's the differentiator.
Yeah.
Is that.
Yeah.
It's not so much is this kid that much better?
Right.
He
just developed faster.
He's stronger.
Yeah.
He's 5 inches taller.
Yeah.
That's why he throws harder.
Right.
His mechanics are off.
Yeah.
But he's huge. So it's
makes up for it.
Yeah. Nobody's throwing curveballs yet.
Right.
So a guy that can hit a fastball, awesome.
Yeah.
When you go to 15, 16, 17, guess what? They know you can hit the fastball. Guess what you're getting? You're getting the curveball. Mm-hmm. You're getting the changeup, right? This is how it goes.
Right. So you can't carry that size with you all the way through because everybody catches up eventually.
Can't. I mean, that's why basketball players, football players, their size different than baseball players.
Yeah.
You have to be baseball. You have to be good at every facet of the game. You have to know the game. Mm-hmm. You can't just be fast and be boom, I'm in.
Yeah.
I can't just have a good glove and boom, I'm in.
Right.
A good arm, boom, I'm in. Doesn't work that way. You have to know the game. Ball's hit to me, I got to know where to go before it even happens.
Right.
I can't. Ball hit to me. One. Nope. Can't do it.
Right.
Can't do it.
So, so right now you guys were, this is a good time to talk actually because, we're running through tryouts and you're having different groups come in. And so whenever you have a tryout, what are you looking for? Because you don't get a lot of time, right? You get an hour or two, and each kid you might get to see do 7 or 8 things in that period of time, depending on how many kids you show up. Yep. So what are some of the things that you're specifically looking for, in that short amount of time that's going to indicate to you whether or not this is a kid you want to have on your club?
A big one's speed,
okay.
Right? Number one, because the thing about speed is we can't teach it.
Can't teach it, yeah.
Right? It's, hey, you got it, and then if I can teach you how to hit the ball a little bit, you're always a threat.
Right.
Get on base. I can teach you how to lead off right, steal at the right time, and utilize that speed. Okay. That's a big, big one, because that doesn't go away.
Right.
If you're in a slump, your speed doesn't.
You're still fast, yeah.
You're still fast, right? That's a big, big one. Is we're looking for athletes.
Yeah.
A guy that can play short. Center field. If you're fast, you can kind of do that instantly. Obviously, second one is, looking for a good glove. Like when we hit ground balls and fly balls, are they cognizant of where their glove is in space? Mm-hmm. Because some kids, they grow so fast sometimes, like baby giraffes, they're kind of they're kind of lost in space, right? And we're looking for someone that has a clue, what to do with and the right footwork going. We can teach all the little stuff.
Yeah.
But
they need a general understanding.
Yeah, a general understanding, right? Yeah. If they have a good glove and their footwork's off, I can teach that.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes some guys just don't have a good glove, and that's, it's just what it is. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. When it comes to throwing, obviously, we're looking for strikes. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how hard you throw. If you throw it over the backstop, if you walk 5 guys, we're going to lose.
Right.
Every time you walk a guy, that guy's scoring.
Yes.
Almost every time. Right. Especially in the league, because guess what?
They're steal.
They're stealing. Yeah. A dinker, he's scoring. Right. Pass ball, he's scoring. Right. They don't have to hit the baseball and they're going to score.
So we don't want walks.
No one walks. Right. So pitchers, right?
Yeah.
Hitters, we're looking at a guy that makes, solid contact and thinks middle.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for, because to be successful at the next level, you can't be Deadpool.
Yeah.
Because they're going to throw curveballs, they're going to throw changeups. Guys now in select baseball, travel baseball, they know how to throw. They know how to pitch. Mm-hmm. They're going to throw the fastball away. Mm-hmm. You go to high school and you go to college, you go pro baseball, guess what the first pitch is going to be?
Away.
Fastball away.
Yeah.
If you're Deadpool.
If you can't get to it.
If you're Deadpool, and I know you are, I'm going to give you 3 of those. I'm going to say, go for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of there in 3 pitches.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and strike.
You might make contact, but you're going to dink it somewhere.
It's going to be a rollover to short or pop up to first base.
Right.
I want you to hit it. I don't even want to try and strike. I don't want to throw 7 pitches to strike you out.
Yeah.
I want you to get out in 2 pitches.
Right.
I want you to foul one off and then roll one over. Boom, thanks a lot.
Right.
That's what we're looking for, middle, right? A balanced approach, thinking middle. Really, the other one is yes or no, sir. Another one I look for too personally is when we say, hey, pick the baseballs up. This is a small thing,
sure.
Right? But how are they doing it? Yeah. Are they walking? Oh gosh. Throwing the ball in the bucket, right?
Yeah.
Or are they hustling, getting the balls, boom, because you get more reps.
Yeah.
We're there for 2 hours.
Right.
The quicker the balls are picked up, guess what? We can hit more.
Yeah.
Guess who I'm going to say, hey, come hit first. Come hit again.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
The one that hustles. It's the little stuff like that where it shows me, hey, I want to be here.
Right.
That kid wants to be here.
Well, in the yes or no, sir, you said that and kind of moved on. But to me, that thing too is it kind of tells you, can I coach this kid, right?
Exactly.
Is this a kid that's going to listen to me when I have something to say to him, and is he going to follow directions?
Yep.
I mean, I get it right every single time, but can I coach him, right? And that's kind of the yes or no, sir, is he has somewhere, some way, somehow, somebody taught him along the way, or her, have that respect and just acknowledge when someone's,
that's super important for us, right? And as adults, is seeing that in kids, like, wow, that's awesome. The parent taught him the right way.
Yeah.
That means he's willing to do whatever the coach is asking.
Right.
And for us as coaches, we don't try and change the kid completely.
Yeah.
If he's got a good skill, he's got a swing, it's different. We're going to roll with that. We're going to try and make it better.
Yeah.
We're not going to try and change someone completely.
Right.
If that's the case, right, when we're looking at trial, that's going to be tough for us to do.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of guys we're not trying to take.
Right.
Hey, we got to change him completely. Mm-hmm. That's tough to do. I'll be honest with you. But if a kid that has an idea and he's close, we can teach him the footwork. We can teach him the little stuff to make him better.
Yeah. So last thing too then is, so as a parent, if I'm out looking and I'm going into this for the first time, trying different spots and seeing different teams, obviously you're going to be partial to the Canes because that's where you're at. But
of course.
just speak in general of, look, let's say the Canes isn't for us, right? For whatever reason. What should I be looking for as a parent in an organization to say, okay, this is going to be the best spot for my kid? In every age is going to have different things, but just generally speaking, what should parents be paying attention to?
So for me personally, right, and becoming Canes baseball and growing, there's a few things that I look for and I try to make the best I can.
Yeah.
Right. Number one is facilities. So indoor facility, outdoor facility. You're renting fields, whatever it may be.
Right.
Because what happens is, you got to remember, by saying this is, come April, May, guess what happens?
Everything's booked.
Not just that, but it's going to rain.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially April.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one is, hey, do you have somewhere to go work?
When the weather's bad.
Do you?
Yeah.
Or not? Number two is coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do you have professional paid coaches that are willing to work with your kid that have a clue? Because sometimes it's a saying, you've heard it, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
You pay, right? So if you pay your coaches low, most likely you're probably going to get that.
Or a dad whose son's on the team, you get all kinds of other stuff that comes along with that.
Right? For us, we don't have dads coach ever. Doesn't happen.
That's great.
So that's another one is coaching, quality of coaching, right? Number three, and it sounds interesting, but it's uniforms. Kids love them.
Oh yeah, okay.
Kids love the uniforms. Right?
Yeah.
They want
the swag.
They want it.
Yeah.
They want it because Deion Sanders said, if you look good, you feel good.
Right.
You feel good, you play good.
Right.
You play good, they pay good.
Right.
He said, right. That was Deion Sanders saying, right? But they love that.
Yeah.
And then another one is the organization of the director.
Right.
I would say, get to know that guy and kind of see what he's looking for in the vision of the
club overall.
Yep. So like for us personally, I could say we're not trying to grow crazy.
Yeah.
We want 12 teams, right? One per age group, maybe two max, and that's it. We're not trying to be the run-of-the-mill club where we take everybody tries out, makes it.
Right.
That's not who we are.
Right.
We want to be exclusive. We want to be the club that you show up to the tournament, they know who we are.
Right.
And right now, that's who we are.
Yeah.
But I would say is that part. Another one is what was the other one? Oh, tournament schedule. That's a big one.
How many tournaments do you think they should play in a spring season, for example?
So what it should be. So to be honest with you, baseball is interesting because you'll play 4 or 5 games in 2 days.
Yeah.
When in high school will they ever do that?
Yeah, they don't.
When in college will they ever do that?
Yeah.
And when in pro baseball will they ever do it? So you're asking guys that are getting paid to play baseball to to not play 4 games in 2 days.
Right.
You're asking a 10, 11, 12-year-old to play 5 games in 2 days.
Right.
Tough to do.
Yeah.
Tough to do. So for me personally, that's kind of backwards. Mm-hmm. That's a whole other conversation. But quality of schedule is tournaments they go to. Mm-hmm. Do they get invited to the big tournaments? Mm-hmm. Do they have an opportunity to play higher level than they are?
Right.
Which is, are you able to go to Florida and see the dudes?
Yeah.
Because that's where everybody is.
Right.
Like when you go to Perfect Game, Florida, everybody's there. You're talking about it's 14-year-olds throwing 90 miles an hour.
Wow.
And not just one of them. There's probably 20 or 30 kids.
Wow.
Every team you face is going to have that dude.
Okay.
Right? 8th graders.
Yeah.
Think about 8th grader throwing 90 miles an hour. There's probably 20, 30 of those guys.
Wow.
High school guys, every team has 2 or 3. So, but if you're stuck in this, local stuff,
Yeah. You never
you're
experienced
never
that.
going to see it.
Yeah.
So then when you do come back,
Yeah.
it's good to play. You need to play locals. People can't afford to travel all the time.
Yeah, it's tough.
But you need to just see what's out there.
Yeah.
And that's the best
Experience
part
it.
is guys that think hey, I want to go play at TCU or I want to go play at Vanderbilt. Go look and see what those dudes are really doing. The guys that have signed to Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Go watch them play.
That are in 8th grade, they've signed to Vanderbilt already. They're in freshmen in high school that
Really?
signed. Yeah,
Wow.
the sophomores have signed. And do you still think you're that good? It's interesting, time.
It's a sobering experience a little bit.
Yeah, because you're like, dude, this guy throws 96.5, he throws 90 miles an hour, he's a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
You see what's really out there.
Which can be a good thing. It can be, somebody look like, well, if they see that, that's going to discourage them. I'm like, well, of
Makes
course.
them work harder.
It could, but it could also do that.
Yeah,
It could also make them go, wait a minute, I'm not anywhere close to where I need to be. I got to put more time in and put more effort in, because if your son or daughter sees that, right, and they see that kid and they're like, well, I can't do that. Well, you've already lost, right?
Exactly.
You're already behind, and that's not, then you're just playing baseball for fun, which is fine too. It's great too, but it's just where your expectations on where you think your kids are going to go.
And it's okay, and you need to have those, because it's like, hey, if you really want to play college baseball, D1 might not be the route, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that is
There's
totally
plenty of
fine.
great players that
you
didn't.
could go play JUCO, and then guess what? Go to even better school than you thought.
Yeah.
You prove yourself in junior college or whatever NAI school, and then then you do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the big ones, and like I said, quality of the tournaments. That's a big one. For us personally, we like to play on turf fields because it doesn't rain out.
Right.
April, May, March, April, May, because it rains so much.
Yeah.
Because there can be a time of 8 weeks there, 6 weeks.
You don't play a game.
You don't play a game.
Yeah.
Or practice.
Right.
Because when you're practicing at city fields, they close the whole park down. You can't just go to the outfield and do your thing.
No.
Versus some places you got the indoor.
Yeah.
You got a field you can go, you own it, so we can go and do outfield stuff.
Yeah.
Take plastic balls and just hit, or whatever we can do, just get our work in, or do conditioning, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it's important to do those things. So I feel the biggest one is going to be, like I said, director. Where is his vision? Where's he going with the team? Another one, like I said, is the indoor, right?
Yeah.
And then the coach for that team. I think those are probably the biggest 3 things.
Yeah.
To look for.
Well, I really appreciate you, talking to me today. I know this is kind of a weird thing or whatever, but it's just stuff I like to do, and I appreciate you taking some time out. But tell everybody who might watch, tell them when you guys are doing your tryouts, when the season starts for you guys specifically. So give them a little 30-second spiel on what the Canes are about. So
yeah, so we're doing kind of finished up open tryouts. We're just looking for to fill in certain positions and certain teams. But we're always open. We have 2 fields and we have 2 indoor places we work out of. So just reach out to me and we'll set up a time to get you going. Season will start mid-February. We're going to do 2 camps. So 2 weekend camps included with our guys, kind of like a spring training type. End of February or first weekend in March, we're going to start our season for youth guys. Okay. They'll be done by July 1st. Then our high school guys go from July 1st till, pretty much all of July. And then we just get rolling from there. And then fall starts in September, and then do it all over again.
Do it all over again. Okay.
Yeah, so we're always recruiting, right? That's the thing for us. We're always recruiting. So if your team's not kind of doing what you expect, or, not pushing your kid, we'll be here to take a look at you. We're just trying to grow youth baseball. Like, it's such a great game, and we're really trying to, push this game in the right direction. There's a lot of teams out there and a lot of choices. We know that, but we feel we're the best one. We're really giving it everything we've got. I mean, I know I'm here all the time, and I take calls. You wouldn't believe how much I'm taking them. But it's because we really love the game.
Yeah.
Like that's why we do this.
Yeah.
We love the game. Yes, it's a business, but it's something I love to do, and I can do it all day, every day, that's what I do all day, every day. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Well, man, I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. And tell them how to get in touch with you. Best way to like reach out, email, phone numbers.
Okay, phone number
websites.
for me is 817-657-0108.
We'll have it across the bottom. They'll put it on there too.
Perfect. And then email address is Coach Valdez at canessouthwest.com. Any of those two is best. Easiest way is text me. Like I said, 817-657-0108. Cool. Appreciate you listening.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody that stuck around. We'll, in the future, I kind of plan on doing a few more of these just because this is something I really like talking about. This is a long one, but I really feel like the information and the perspective that you get from, coaches and people that, especially because Mike doesn't have any kids. And this is something that he does because he's passionate about it, not because he's trying to, do something for his child or whatever. So I really appreciate your time, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.